Well, I think we all need to start with a technical background, so obviously they need to get their professional qualifications. But after that, it's all about enthusiasm and hard work and really just wanting to get on with it at the first stages. Obviously, over time, you move into sort of developing leadership skills, but early on, it's about getting the grounding, doing the hard yards, being enthusiastic and enjoying what you're doing, and in particular, taking the challenges that are being thrown at you. So often, it's those hard jobs that enable you to shine and that enable you to show that you're better than the average.
I think that in your early years, it is important to learn as much as you can about the organisation you're in, the environment that you operate, the markets, etc. One thing I have noticed over my career, and no doubt was guilty of myself, was I felt after 4 or 5 years I knew everything and was ready for much more than I was actually capable of carrying out. And I think the missing ingredient there, and it's obviously through no fault of the graduate themselves, is that experience actually makes up a large part of your capability, and it's only by being in a variety of roles, perhaps in a number of different organisations or even in a number of different geographies, that you ultimately collect a sufficient experience to aid the technical and commercial and strategic ability that you may have to make yourself a more complete person and therefore able to contribute to an organisation in a greater way.
If you want to move fast, you need to be recognised for something. And when you come into any finance role, whether it's in the financial services world or whether it's in FMCG or other commercial industries, the first thing that you find is you're bombarded with work, and it's very, very difficult to even find a work-life balance. And I find a lot of analysts are working 12 and 14-hour days. The first advice that I would give them, as I said before, is how do you minimise that day-to-day work as quickly as possible? So every time you do something, the next time you do it, how can you take 5 or 10 minutes off? Because ultimately you will be remembered for 2 or 3 pieces of breakthrough work, not the day-to-day work. So how can you do that? The second one is the importance of networking, and I think that networking is obviously important as you look for new opportunities and you span your horizons, but it's also very important in the present because it allows you to bounce things off your peers. How do other people see things and view very similar circumstances? And so I always encourage my analysts to have mentors and to have peer groups that they can talk to. And beyond that, they should also be benchmarking themselves against what they consider their best in class or somebody that's 1 or 2 years ahead of them, so that they're constantly benchmarking someone so they can constantly improve and be seen as constantly improving.
Go for it. There aren't enough people aspiring to be a CFO. There are people who have accounting and finance training who think it's easier to go to the business, but then realise when they're in the business that perhaps they should have kept their qualifications intact and gone down the CFO route. So I love it when people tell me that they want to be a CFO. I keep my eye on them, I make sure they get the right skills, because we don't have enough people wanting to be CFOs. Why? Just purely, before you ask me, I think it's because of the risk, the environment now that we work in. It is such a tough job being the CFO. You have to have your wits about you, you have to be aware of things. It's not just about current treatment, but it's about the future. And it's a very stressful role.
I think just take on anything that you are interested in. Always helps if you're passionate about something. So quite often you'll get exposure as a young graduate to all different types of a finance function. So in a finance operation of a large company, it's a very diverse operation. So you can go from into an operational finance role to a head office role, and it gives you an opportunity to test out what you really like. And if you find something that you like and you're passionate about it, then dive in. And sometimes if you think you might like it and you know nothing about it, then also put your hand up, because there's nothing like stretching yourself and getting thrown in the deep end and seeing whether you can absorb it and get on top of things pretty quickly. So I think there's plenty of opportunities where you get thrown into something, and then in 6 months you can pick up on things pretty well, and move forward in your career. And I think people will look for people that want to take on a challenge and are not just stuck in the role that they're doing, and are willing to move forward.
Stick with it. It's a great way to make a career. I think a CFO and a finance graduate is afforded an access to an organisation that often is far broader than most of the functional areas within an organisation. You get to see and touch and influence such a wide part of the organisation that it makes for a fascinating career.
So my advice to any graduate entering the finance accounting profession would be to firstly be cognisant and aware of the ethical environment that you work in and remain true to that. Stay true to the values that the profession in their ethical framework provide for you. I think work sensibly, be cognisant of work-life balance. A career is a marathon, not a sprint. And the final piece of advice that I'd give is take control of your career, plan for your next role, and don't let things just happen and roll on. So take control of your destiny.
Well, really the advice I would give is if they are interested in being a CFO, go for it, because it provides a great opportunity to be part of the strategic running of an organisation. As we've said earlier, look, it's challenging. It can have its hard days, it can have its good days. But if you're a true professional and you want to get to the pinnacle of your profession, CFO is the position to go for. And anyone that's put their hard yards in gaining their qualifications and then gaining their professional qualifications, why stop at just a financial controller level? Why not go for the CFO job? And I think the satisfaction that people can get out of this role would actually provide, great job satisfaction. There are a variety of CFO jobs around in both public sector and private sector, and CFOs, the CFOs are big organisations, and certainly in the public sector there's CFOs in smaller organisations. So there is still opportunity. You can become a CFO of a smaller organisation, and then step your way up to becoming a CFO of a bigger organisation. The basic principles are somewhat the same, but the size of an organisation and the challenges are greater in a bigger organisation. And as you gain experience, the world's there. You can go for it. I think the other real advantage of CFOs in public sector and private sector, even in this country of Australia, it gives you a skill that's portable globally, and particularly for younger people coming up through the ranks. The real positive about the accounting profession is that, and given the way the standards are set and the financial practices are set, we're just not sort of part of a local Australian community, we're part of the global community, and the opportunities to move around are immense.
And I think the final piece of advice that I'd give to any young analyst or any person just starting in the finance career is make sure that you focus on actions and results. We get a lot of very, very highly qualified analysts that come in that have had MBAs, that have done very well in the university degrees. They're technical masters, but often they forget why they're actually there. And at the end of the day, results can be classified into two or three very, very simple areas. One is building the business, and two is building the organisation. And if it's not doing one of those two things, then I think that unfortunately you're wasting their time. So I've seen a lot of detailed analysis in my time that has led to very, very little action. So action results, very important.